Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, jumbo. Bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are proud to let you know that we are an iHeartRadio Best Kids and Family Podcast Award nominee. Our guest today is the author of the Dreamscapes Series, a beautiful series of picture books. Her name is Ammie Elliot. If you are the author of a fantastic children's book, you might be a little bit frustrated right now. Yeah, you know, first off, you became an author, and then all of a sudden, once your book was published, whether it was self-published, published with a little tiny publishing house, published with a big, giant traditional publishing house, you were probably surprised that you, the artiste, were now expected to go out and market your book. You were expected to go out there and let people know all about your great book. So you said, okay, I'll take that on. And you thought, I'll line up some school visits. I'll go to libraries and do some readings. I'll go to bookstores and I'll do book signings. Well, guess what? That ain't happening. It's not happening right now. I don't know when it's going to be happening. There aren't going to be visitors to schools. The CDC has already said that come September, their recommendations are no outside visitors in schools for the foreseeable future. Same is going to be happening in libraries, and who knows what's going to happen for bookstores. If we're supposed to, you've been in bookstores, you've seen the areas where they do book readings. Can kids really keep 6 feet apart there? That's the recommendation. So I don't know if those traditional avenues of marketing your book are going to be available. Well, that's okay. We have a fantastic program here we want to let you know about. It's the Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read Program. We have a panel of kids, parents, and educators, and if they believe that your book is worthy of 4 or 5 out of 5 stars, it becomes a Certified Great Read. And with that certification comes a bunch of great promotional tools. At one of our levels, you get a minute-long animated video announcement where we not only say and celebrate the fact that your book was named a certified great read, we tell folks why it's a certified great read and talk about your book. I personally think it's better than a book trailer, and it's a lot more affordable than a book trailer. Why don't you do yourself a favor? Check it out today. Go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the Author Services button at the top of the page, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about the Certified Great Read program. And you are welcome to call or email our author ambassador, Peggy Cotto, Peggy@Jedley.com, and Jedley is spelled Jedlie, Jedley.com. Joining us on the line right now from Columbus and the wonderful state of Ohio. She is the author of a great picture book series called the Dreamscapes Series. Please welcome to the show, Ammie Elliot. Ammie, how are you?
Hi, I am doing really well, living the dream as best I can. How are you?
Living the dream in Columbus, Ohio. That is awesome. One of the things I was talking to Ammie a little bit about Ohio and the fact that I did drive through Columbus at least once in my life. The first time I was in Ohio, driving through Ohio, the thing that really just hit me upside my head was, man, it is flat. It is just everything. There's no hills. It's just a flat landscape.
That's very true. It's very picturesque. We have a lot of wonderful sunsets. When you do find those hills, you can just see the beautiful Columbus skyline, and just you can see for miles because it is a lot of flat farmland, but also a very bubbling artistic and cultural center for a lot of things.
Do you find that being surrounded by other artists is an inspiration for you?
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. In fact, about 5 years ago, I got very connected with the artist group of Columbus through something called the Columbus Book Project, which was a celebration of art, life, and culture in the city, and it's a set of coffee table books. I was the editor-in-chief for that, And it connected me to all these amazing photographers, graphic designers, mosaic artists. I mean, anything you can really think of. And it's actually how I met the man who is illustrating my picture book series, the Dreamscapes series, Travis McCoy. That's how we connected.
That's awesome. I think it's so, I mention that because I too am inspired by other artists, and I really, a lot of times authors, we don't think of ourselves as artists, and, but we're creating stories. We're painting pictures with words, and in case of the picture book writers, with illustrators. But I also think it's, there's a lot of opportunities for collaboration, and I think when authors spend time with visual artists and spend times with musicians and spend times with magicians, there's a lot of creativity that just kind of bubbles and percolates. Yes,
there is. I like to think of it as a spark that is passed from like wires. When you come together and you plug in this electricity that can really power someone's idea and bring it to life is, I get goosebumps just thinking about the potential and just the creative ideas that come from that connection.
That is an amazing analogy. Yes, there are times when I'm creating, there are times when I'm on stage where the inspiration just comes. And most recently, there's an incident it was not an incident, it was a time in Indiana not too long ago where just inspiration came, and through the whole show, I am just picking up things, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with it once I pick it up, but I do, and it's just magical. And I know authors feel that, musicians feel that. I think a lot of kids feel that too, and what a gift for parents if they can help kids kind of appreciate that and acknowledge that this is a real gift that you're having right now, this energy that you're feeling. Go for it. Here's some paper, here's some pens, here's some paintbrushes. Go for it. Just create. Have fun.
Those young minds, it's pretty amazing. I've done some book readings, and with this talk at how many, just watching them as I'm reading and showing the pictures, and in the Q&A session that we would have at the end, their energy about the arts and how we come up with ideas is amazing. And just the ability for them, children have such amazing minds that they really are boundless, because they don't I shouldn't say they don't understand. They have all of the restraint put on them that we as adults have. And so part of the inspiration for my books actually came from my daughter.
Cool. Tell us, so we know the inspiration for your books came from your daughter, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. But first, let's talk about the Dreamscapes series. What are these stories about?
Well, it is a collection of 10 books, the first of which is Origami Orchestra, and the second one, and the first one is actually published and available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. The second one is called Baked In, that will be releasing hopefully within the next month. It's with the publisher. And that will also be on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and, available on Kindle. But what the series is about, the whole idea behind the series was this ability when we dream, the world that we see and the ability to create is boundless. There isn't this structure that's placed upon it. It's your creation. It is your mind just having fun. It's a playground of ideas. And with the Dreamscape series, it's a celebration of creativity. The story is told through rhyme and, poetry, like a lyrical poem. And the art for each book is done by the same artist, but we celebrate a different art form in each book as a way to expose children to different forms of art, but also our dreams, they aren't the same. You don't dream in like a templated setting, right? So the Dreamscape series is this idea of all these different dreamscapes, and with the intention that dreams can inspire us to do great things in our life. You can be dreams. You can become what your dream is. In Origami Orchestra, it's about a young child who has stumbled upon an orchestra actually made out of origami. And the child watches it first and then begins to interact with all the instruments, and the paper pleats tap out the beats, and just starts to be more involved and kind of a conductor. And it's sharing that spark. So that's Origami Orchestra, and that's a overall idea of what the Dreamscape series is.
That's incredible. I'm just picturing, I'm daydreaming about being in that dreamscape, walking and discovering an origami orchestra. It's amazing. I mean, I just have this smile on my face thinking about, how much fun that, it could be terrifying too, but how much fun that could be.
Yes, exactly. And it's that idea of wonderment, of seeing something for the first time. And you can achieve that every single night when you go to sleep. So I think it's especially relevant in today's environment with some of the stay-at-home situation that we've had, where in our dreams, you can go anywhere. So when you tap into that and you maybe meditate a little bit or do some breathing exercises before bed, it can really help unlock a dreamscape that you might want to entertain.
Yeah, I think this would be a great way, too, just to get parents and kids feeling comfortable talking about dreams.
Yes.
Because there's a lot, there are a lot of dreams, we're talking about the positive dreams. Yes, you can be anything you want. And one of the things I used to teach my kids is a technique that I learned is just visualizing yourself succeeding. With me before a show, the night before a show, I kind of visualized myself up on stage. And with my daughter, she was a dancer. My son played football, the whole thing, just go to sleep visualizing yourself succeeding. And that's a really wonderful skill to give kids. But also there's some dreams that can be disturbing. In a great way, and they need to talk about it. But a lot of times kids' dreams are really weird, and they're going, I ain't going to talk about this with anybody. But if we get them into the habit of just speaking about dreams and talking about the fun dreams, first, then talking about those disturbing dreams is going to be a little bit easier.
Yeah, and the idea that dreams are a way for your mind to unwind also. So when you do go to sleep, during the day, our lives are filled with a lot of noise. So it's at bedtime when your mind can actually catch up to everything that has happened instead of just reacting. So there is a little bit of psychology behind the idea of the Dreamscape series, in that placing positive attributes, ideas on these stories and directing the conversation about dreams, and how even a disturbing or sad or confusing dream that a child might have is your mind's way of maybe processing something that you saw during the day and just getting it out and through your mind as a way to refresh itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit more about how your daughter inspired you to create this series.
Oh, wow. So it was my daughter now is 12. So it was when she was a baby. So when she was newly born, and, every parent watches their child sleep. And with your newborn, you think of, oh my gosh, what could you possibly be dreaming right now? What is going on in this world that is a complete canvas, like a fresh canvas, of of what the world would look like and the sense of wonderment. And also that same feeling as a parent is, oh my gosh, you can really be anything that you want to be. And as a parent, I want to celebrate that. And as I was watching her sleep, the idea of a dreamscape, I called it a dream sequence at first. I was like, all these dream sequences she must be having. And then I was like, oh, but it's a dreamscape. And starting to just picture, which is why they're a picture book, trying to picture what those might look like and creating this world through poetry. Because I just, with rhyming, there's more retention, and it's the oldest form of storytelling that we really know of. So simply just watching her dream and wondering what she could be dreaming about and all the potential that is there with our children.
Wow. My wife and I, my kids are now 23 and 26, and my wife and I were talking the other night about how, some of the goofy ways our kids used to sleep. And, I remember there's a picture of my son with his feet are on the bed and his head's on the floor and he's in between the wall and the bed. And you're right. We look at our kids as they're sleeping, and, we just have these moments of just pure love and hope and anticipation. And it's like everything is possible right now with our kids. Yes.
And there's a whole other world happening behind those closed eyes. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just to your point earlier when you talked about visualization, it's the first step of that. I mean, our dreams, closing your eyes and going to a completely different place when you're in your bed, safe at home, is just what a vacation.
Yeah, yeah. Now, you mentioned that the first book is available, Origami Orchestra, and you said the second book should be available soon. So tell us a little bit about that second book.
Yes, so the second book is called Baked In, and it is a very tasty dreamscape where in this book the child is wandering through this, I like to think of it as the Sugar Plum Fairies world, but a retelling of that where she's surrounded by all these confections of perfection and travels through some macaroons and sees a stage of soft cream cheese with gingerbread dancing and joins in dancing and singing and moving through and exploring each dreamscape is pretty much the thread for each book. But it's very colorful, and the art style that it's done in is pop art. So it's very bright. We even use I have this wonderful graphic designer for font work. Her name is Whitney, and she made like a comic book, like a graphic novel with some of those sounds like a clink and a clatter and a slurp. And the journey the character goes through is one of just wonder and engagement with all these different types of foods, and eventually falls asleep among them.
One of the things I love about both of these books is that in addition to kind of starting conversations about dreams and hopes and teaching kids to visualize, it also seems like a perfect springboard to get into some really fun activities. Origami Orchestra. Hey, let's find out about this thing called origami.
Absolutely. I really hope that these will generate some conversations and exploration. So with Origami Orchestra, the art style is a celebration of Asian art and patterns like origami, as well as the cherry blossom was an important inspiration for the illustrator, Travis. And what we're actually working on as an accompaniment to these books is we're putting together an activity and coloring book, which will have some fun recipes like for Baked In, as well as word finds and coloring pages, crossword puzzles, mazes. So things that also can take your reading to the interactive level of actually getting to design your own dreamscape, like on one of the pages.
That's, my first experience with origami, we hosted international students in our home in a variety of different ways for many, many years. And our first experience with it was in inviting some Japanese students who were studying at a Japanese women's university here in Boston, inviting them over for Thanksgiving. And our Thanksgiving table is huge. And at the end of the dinner, these young women from Japan said, "Can we teach you origami?" Ooh. And they pulled out these little sheets of paper, and we just went at it, and we spent hours putting together cranes and other animals, and it was just a blast.
And with that focus, oftentimes too, it ends up being therapeutic in a way. It's a form of meditation, all that paper folding and the practice, and I think it's a beautiful way of showing the creative process too. You start with this colorful piece of paper or an idea, and you fold it and you work at it to create something that's, tangible, 3D instead of this flat piece of paper. Yeah. And it's not easy. So there are different levels of origami, and some of the art installations across the United States of origami where they have it suspended from the ceiling, and it's pretty beautiful. Yeah. But you can also just create a water lily, which I shouldn't say just, but it's one of the simpler ways, a beginner's origami idea.
Yeah. And one of the things I just thought of as we were talking, we here in the Reading with Your Kids podcast, we talk a lot about, the value of reading with our kids and reading to our kids and having our kids read to us. And then the value of us talking about the books and the stories and asking questions. And those are incredibly valuable things. But there's also a lot of value in doing something silently with our kids. Mm-hmm. Just being together, working on the same, whether it's working on a puzzle, working on origami, mixing ingredients to create a cupcake. That time that we spend together in silence is really profound in a lot of ways.
That's true. We say a lot when we're quiet. There's a lot of thinking, and our body language can tell us a lot, but doing these activities together, the books, at the heart of them is really this idea of inclusivity, to include someone else in this dreamscape or this world and to explore it. One of the I find profound is that in a world full of differences, we all dream. Everybody dreams. And being able to explore our similarities, even when they are different dreamscapes, being able to talk about our dreams and share those moments lead to other conversations and can hopefully show people that we're not so different. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have similar dreams, which is fascinating to me too.
Absolutely. Well, I'm really excited. Now, I know the second book is just about out, but this is a series, and it sounds like it's too good of a series to stop at 2. Are there other dreamscapes that you're planning on exploring?
There are. We have 10 planned right now. So while the second book will be out soon, and it's in the print process, we're actually in the creation process for the third book, which will be called Unicorn Horn Mountain. And this is a story of perseverance and carrying through. And I don't want to give anything away, but once you get to the end, this feeling of accomplishment that a child can have, as anyone can have when they come up with an idea, a dream that they may not have shared with somebody, but they've accomplished. So Unicorn Horn Mountain, and then after that one is Butterfly Ride. So those are the next two that we've begun our artistic exploration on. So we're pretty excited about them.
That is exciting. Well, I know people are going to want to know where they can connect with you online so they can learn more about Origami Orchestra and all of the other great books in the Dreamscapes series.
Yes, so a great way to connect is through Facebook, and it's at Dreamscapes Series. My email, if there are any personal stories or anything that somebody wanted to share or ask some questions about the book, is ammie.elliot.books@gmail.com. But through Facebook is the at Dreamscapes page is my primary social connection right now with sharing news about the books and releases and fun activity ideas.
Awesome. Well, we've had a blast speaking to the author of the Dreamscapes series, a great picture book series from our friend Ammie Elliot. Ammie, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you. This is so great, and I really just hope everyone continues enjoying reading with their kids.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be A.S. Mackey. That's the next edition of the show. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so very wonderful. Of course, I want to thank our guest, Ammie Elliot. Be sure to check out the Dreamscapes series. Also want to thank my incredible team, starting with my amazing producer, Fatima Khan. I want to thank my awesome author ambassador, Peggy Cotto. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. I want to thank Augie the doggy for having my back here in the studio, keeping me safe. But most of all, I want to thank the superhero in this equation. That's you. That's right. You are doing so much for your kids. And in taking care of your kids, and in feeding them, and teaching them, and keeping them safe, and reading to them, you're making the world a better place. I'll be looking for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.